Barrio. All right, we're talking about the film Whose Barrio Is It? A provocative, emotionally charged story looking at the changes in Spanish Harlem as the residents from that area were pushed out by real estate agents who are raising property values and rent beyond the point of affordability. The two individuals who helped put this together are now here to tell us why they decided to tell this story. Please welcome to the show Ed Morales and Laura Rivera. Hello.
Hey.
Hi.
Hi. So, are you both from El Barrio?
No, I'm from the Bronx.
You're from the Bronx?
I'm from the Boogie Down.
Okay.
But my parents, when they came to this country from Puerto Rico, they met in El Barrio.
Uh-huh.
And then my dad actually used to have a Super 8 camera, and he captured a lot of that stuff. That's one of the reasons I decided to
Capture a lot of that stuff. Meaning?
well, like their wedding reception and
Okay.
and their early days, and which
The sentiments.
occurred in El Barrio.
Okay.
But they moved out after they had me and my sister, and we lived in the Bronx. We grew up
Okay.
in the Bronx.
Okay, and
I'm
you're...
from Puerto Rico,
Uh-huh.
and I left there when I was 6. We moved to Baltimore, and I pretty much grew up in Florida. And I always felt like we didn't have family in New York, but to be Puerto Rican is also to be New Yorican.
Right.
And being that I was into poetry, when I heard about the New Yorican poets, I wanted to connect with that. I felt like it was somehow part of my history too.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was looking for that kind of root. And El Barrio is like the cultural homeland
It's like the corridor
for
Right.
New Yorkers.
for New Yorkers, yes. So, Ed, with this film, okay, let's talk a little bit about the issue of the property value and gentrification. Why use the word gentrification?
Well, gentrification is a word that's usually used to describe when people of higher income move into a neighborhood where it's mostly poverty or working class people. They move there because the areas that they normally would want to live in have become too expensive, and they go there because they figure, well, I can pay a cheaper rent here. And they sort of go in often with the attitude that after a few years the neighborhood will get better and I will like living here. It's a word that's used, in academia and in politics, and some people think it's a provocative word, but I think that it describes accurately what happens. It's like the
This
gentry.
Question with
yeah.
regards to gentrification. Do you feel that once the word gentrification is used, that there's a loss of culture?
What do you think, Laura?
Well, I think that's open for debate. And we didn't want to propose answers as much as let people from the neighborhood express their views on that. So when you look at the film and you meet Jose Rivera, who is born and raised in El Barrio, wants nothing more than to buy his wife and children a home to live in, cannot afford it, teaches at a Catholic school in the neighborhood. He feels that the newcomers don't feel comfortable with him and his culture. And you look at another person in the film, James Garcia, he's 7th generation Mexican American. So he understands the Latino culture, but he doesn't necessarily feel that his coming into the neighborhood has to do with solidarity with the people in the neighborhood.
We have a clip. Once we see this clip, maybe you'll be able to describe a little bit more about how long is the film?
It's 50 minutes right now.
50 minutes.
And the clip is about 3 minutes. I don't know if you want to play all of it.
Well, no. We'd like to take a look at it and,
Okay.
and get a little taste of whose barrio is it.
Okay.
Can we look at that? Okay. I guess they're not ready to show. Okay.
There it is.
Oh, whose barrio? There we go. You can hear my director yelling up there. I see. Great. Wow, that's First Avenue, isn't it?
That's 110th Street.
Okay.
That's Jose Rivera.
Okay.
And that's the building that they built, which is called the Mirada, which is luxury housing.
That's on 3rd Avenue, and that's La Fonda Boricua.
Yeah.
How do I know all of this? That's this condominium on 118 and 2nd Avenue
Yeah,
that's
right.
been empty for a very long time.
Right.
Which brings up an interesting issue about the economic downturn and how
Why has that been open? Nobody's renting or buying those condominiums.
the recession, there was a big zoning change, there was a construction boom, and
Dice apagan. Nice. I'm sorry. Go ahead. This
there
is
was this
interesting.
idea that everybody was going to flock here and it was going to be a hot deal. And because the real estate market collapsed, not everybody could buy in anymore. So you have all these empty condos throughout East Harlem.
Throughout East Harlem. So, okay, so now we've got nice abandoned buildings. Interesting.
It's
Because
yeah,
that's what they've got.
it's ironic.
I mean, I live in El Barrio, so I know.
Yeah.
Okay, whose barrio is going to be screened where?
Well, 3 places next week. We're going to be at CUNY Law School on Monday night. Wednesday there's a screening at St. John's University. And Thursday there's a screening at 20 Cooper Square. What is the name of the department at NYU?
The Department of Social and Cultural Analysis at NYU.
Yeah, that's at in Cooper Square in the East Village in Manhattan.
What are you hoping that people walk away with in seeing this film? Is it geared towards the Latino culture in its execution, or is it just as a matter of fact?
Well, we tried to make a story that was really about our particular experience, about trying to relate to the community and why El Barrio is an important cultural center for Puerto Ricans. But we think that it's a universal story because, especially in New York, almost everybody's been pushed out of a neighborhood. It doesn't even have to be a racial issue, it's a class issue. And there are some people who aren't even people of color who relate to the movie because they have been forced out of a neighborhood. I mean, even young professionals have been forced out into the boroughs. And in fact, we were living in Park Slope, which is kind of a nice area in Brooklyn, and we were actually forced out of there, and that's actually in the movie. So it's kind of a universal experience. It's happening all over the country. It happens all over the world. I mean, we've read about the Colombian military being used to take people out of certain areas of Colombia to promote it for tourism. So the idea of moving poor people who have an established, or working class people who have established cultural community out of where they live for the purposes of real estate development is something that's just going on all over, and it's part of the big problem that we have with economic crisis. The whole economic crisis, a lot of it was caused by the bad mortgages, which is fueled by people desperately trying to make money out of real estate.
Thank you
I
for
would
that.
also say
I'm sorry, we're actually running. It's like this. Go ahead. Yes.
it is by Latinos and it is for Latinos, and the majority of the voices in the story are Latinos from the neighborhood.
I thought so. So thank you for sharing that. And I'm sorry for cutting you off. I didn't mean to do that. They're just wrapping me up over there. But I did want to make sure that people are able to obtain more information on the film. Do you have a website or a Facebook or somewhere where they can view the trailer?
Our website is about to go live. It's www.whosbarrio.com.
We're also on Facebook, Whose Barrio, the documentary.
Whose Barrio, the documentary, so that would be the whole thing you type up. So it's facebook.com/Whose Barrio, the documentary. Thank you, Laura. Thank you, Ed.
Thank you for
I'm sorry
having
we ran out of time. This seems like a very interesting film. I'm, a part of the Barrio movement, so I'm totally down with your cause. And once again, it's another form of awareness. And really, they were not referring to cultural awareness, they were referring to class awareness, right? Gentrification through class, although the film is by Latinos, for Latinos, and about Latinos. All right, we got to take a break, but coming up, sports is next, and only Bobby C can deliver the best in sports news. We'll be right back.
I dream about you every day.